When I was a young boy, my father took me into the city to see a marching band. He said, son, when you grow up, would you be the savior of the broken, the beaten and the damned? He said, will you defeat them, your demons and all the non-believers, the plans that they have made? Because one day I'll leave you a phantom to lead you in the summer to join the Black Parade.
Welcome back to the Cork Football Podcast. I suppose Sunday was one of those days that, as a Cork football supporter, it kind of makes it all somewhat worthwhile. And look, while we've nothing won, and we know that we could have a bit of heartbreak around the corner very easily. Just for those few hours there now Sunday evening, we were able to tell ourselves have that bit of hope and maybe a bit of fantasy about what could be in store for the season. I suppose there was a lot more than 2 league points and Division 2 supremacy on the line Sunday. I suppose everyone was predicting a big crowd, and the ticket sales were kind of saying that. And they had deserved the crowd because they had 3 wins under their belt. And I suppose Cork football, it had a massive opportunity to reconnect with the Cork public. And a Cork public that had justifiably lost interest over the past decade. I suppose through a kind of a combination of poor performance and the appalling product that the game of football had become in general. And I suppose you can divide the Cork public into 3 categories. There's people that have no interest in football and never will, and that's fine. And you'd have people like myself who'll follow the footballers and hurlers through thick and thin. And then you have a kind of a middle cohort, and they'll follow the team if the team delivers certain qualities. And look, they don't have to be winning regularly against the likes of Kerry or Dublin or any of the top teams, but there's a kind of a minimum expectation of the team showing, character, and above all, not self-sabotaging. And Cork football, for some reason, has a tendency to search every corner of the building for the self-sabotage button. And I have to think there, for those that remember that cartoon, the Roadrunner there years ago, I often think we're like the wily coyote of the Gaelic football world for shooting ourselves in the foot. And so that's for that reason, it was somewhat bigger, something bigger was on the line on Sunday, and I was very apprehensive going in, especially with missing the Patrick Doyle and Brian O'Driscoll and Brian Hurley. I was very, very apprehensive. But look, hopefully, given the result now, and I think outside of the result, the performance, the team have bought themselves some credit with the Cork supporters, and hopefully they'll stay following them. The lads, they showed serious grit and never say die. And there was bar 1 or 2 occasions, all right, that there was a bit of messing went on, but overall, you'd have to be happy. And I was just thinking after, I kind of asked myself the question, had Meath got that goal in the end? And yes, we'd have been devastated and very disappointed, but we'd still have came away saying that there definitely big strides have been made. The messing that used to go on normally wasn't happening, and look, it wouldn't have been the end of the world. I think the performance was there. Now, to the game itself, I'm not going to go through the game blow by blow now like I have done in previous podcasts. I think most people listening to this, they'd be after either seeing the game or reading numerous reports about it. So I'm just going to make a couple of observations in no particular order of importance. I'm going to start off with positives anyway. First off, look, I don't think there's many people outside the setup itself that realised how good this Dara Sheedy is. Look, we've seen him underage there with the last couple of years, and he was kind of carrying underage teams there. And I kind of saw his role this season, as kind of a support role, really, predominantly from the bench. But the lad is ready, and there's no doubt about it. I suppose the position he plays in, it doesn't allow the opposition to kind of smother him, and he can get himself into the game at will because he has the confidence to do it. And he got 4 points from play, and I think he set up 2 more directly, but it's just his composure on the ball and the ball control that really stands out. And look, it's a huge positive to have someone like that after coming in, and I'd be hoping now the likes of Corbett there now and Cathal O'Mahony and fellas that have been injured there that were showing that type of promise there a few years ago, and they've been killed with injuries, that they'll kind of get kind of great kind of confidence from looking at Dara Sheedy and to drive them on. That if they do perform, that they're going to get the chance. And the other big positive, and I wouldn't be his biggest fan, was Ian Maguire. Outside of the sending off, he, I reckon it was one of his best games ever in the red jersey. I would have always seen his weakness over the years has been his decision making in kind of high pressure movements. But Sunday he definitely he left all that behind him anyway. And another thing, he looks in great physical condition. I suppose the run there with the bars there towards the end of last year, and he's had a bit of a rest as well. And he looks in very good condition. And there was actually just 2 instances there on Sunday that that happened with him, and things that he'd have done differently, other than in the old Ian Maguire would have done differently. And that's outside of the kickouts and his overall interplay and work rate. He actually, I just thought of it there now, that the 2 point there that Mark Cronin got in the first half, he set that up for him, and the most importantly, the way he did the screen on the Meath player to give Cronin the space to shoot. That's you could make that look you could always make to get a free against you for doing that if you didn't do it properly, but he did it to perfection. And the 2 instances that I actually did pick out is the point in the first half, and we'd have seen Ian Maguire before 30 yards from goals, no one on him, when he'd have got that ball. He wouldn't have had the confidence to just turn and shoot. He'd have wanted to take another 10 yards, and the likelihood is he'd carry the ball towards goal, get hunted down, turned over, and this time he just went for it. And that was the first thing. The second one, far more simple than that. There was a ball coming to him in the second half there along the ground, tight situation, and 9 out of 10 times before he'd have gone down on that ball, got bottled up, and probably turned over. But he did the simple thing, just a nice soccer pass along the ground, a teammate in a better position, and I think that was a symptom of he probably has more confidence now in the overall setup and the players around him. And I think before I think he was kind of taking too much on his shoulders and trying to do too much himself. But so that was a huge positive. Now the sending off was a pity. And look, we've all been in those situations. I'm not going to judge the men for that. And I'm not going to dwell on, that referee, he was an awful clown. And where do they pull these fellas out of, and it's one thing to be getting decisions wrong, but the theatrics then, on top of it, that when he sent off Ian Maguire there, he was explaining to Ian Maguire he was sending him off, that's fair enough. But then he pulls out the red card, and I actually thought he was going to do a pirouette. I just don't know where I saw a thing online that, he was just doing his best, the referee, and they said that's why he should never ref again, because he was brutal. But that's that anyway. Look, another positive I see is, we seem to have got our act together on the centre-back position, that we're going to playing a defender there. Tommy Welch was there Sunday and he did very well. And we have the balance now in the backs pretty much right. We've 4 out-and-out defenders in our back 6. Whereas we didn't there. We were trying to play kind of 3 attacking half-backs and it wasn't working. We've Matty now and Luke Fahey. They're our attacking wing-backs and the other 4 are out-and-out defenders. And I think it worked well. Now I'll come back to it again. But, look, there was some of the last gasp defending. It was great to see it, and it was great for the crowd actually to see that sort of commitment, and you know, to people that wouldn't be following an awful lot of football. They're delighted to see block downs and all that, and it really gets the crowd on board. But I kind of saw it a bit differently. I temper that enthusiasm with the fact that it's not a great sign when you have to do all that kind of last gasp stuff at the throughout the game, and there was a lot of it. Sean Meehan there, like the rugby fellas, they'd be calling it this scramble defence. Look, the scramble defence was excellent, but he did get turned a couple of times, and you know, just won too many times for my liking. And look, I know he has been injured a lot, and he's only kind of easing his way back into it, and that game will bring him on a ton. I'm just going to come back to that later on. Tying into something else. Look, another concern I had was that Meath were getting in for their scores very easily, and their scoring efficiency was unbelievable. I think they had 9 shots out of 9 in the first 25 minutes. So, and we were just letting him into position. Look, it's very hard to know what's going on, because when you don't see the game back on television, it's kind of hard to identify where it's going wrong. But it seems to be once our opponents, and this has been throughout the league, once our opponents break our first line of defence, they seem to be getting in for shots very easily. And the likes of Kerry, they'll absolutely eat you alive on that. Even the last 2-point effort there that Meath went for, I know your man, he mishit it really. And, but there was no one near him when he was kicking that ball. And it's just too, they're getting their opportunities too easy. Right, back to positives anyway. Again, I've here, Colm O'Callaghan, and I just asked the question, is there a better midfielder in the country at the moment? I don't think there is. Look, I'm just dreading the thought that anything injury-wise will happen to him. He is absolutely a powerhouse, in every aspect of the game. He was everywhere on the pitch, and just ran out of steam at the end. I hope that he didn't get injured, but I don't think he did, because I don't think he'd have stayed out in the field after, you know, signing autographs and stuff like that if he was injured. So fingers crossed on that. So now we're on to, we've 2 games to go, or 3 games to go, and we've Derry and Kildare next. And look, realistically, we have to get 3 points out of those 2 games to kind of guarantee qualification. A win up in Derry isn't going to be enough. No, we want to win up in Derry, but it just shows how important the next game is. And if we could get those 3 points under our belt in the next 2 games, like, imagine what a massive boost it would be to the panel to go into the last game there against Tyrone, and be able to give the likes of Cathal O'Mahony and Conor Corbett, Kevin O'Donovan, David Buckley, Conor Daly, giving them a run, and they having 70 minutes and resting our other men going into a league final and heading into championship, like, to be huge, let alone the promotion, but what it would do for competition and morale in the squad. Like, I think to transform our season, I think if we could get qualified before the last game, I reckon it could give us a platform to drive well into the end of the championship. You know, and another thing I think that we really need to kind of try out our panel, because our impact off the bench is letting us down, I think. We don't have kind of danger coming off the bench. We're not really bringing on something new to throw at the opposition. Like, Rory Dean worked hard now when he came on Sunday, but look, he's not going to threaten the scoreboard. And I think that we just need, like, if you could be getting a Conor Corbett or Cathal O'Mahony firing there, and they coming on and just giving the opposition something else to worry about, I think it would be huge. And that's why the next 2 games are absolutely critical. The other thing as well is, look, is a slight concern after Sunday is, and it is recurring as well, is we're not playing heads up enough, spotting the free man, I suppose, and it's probably, even though we did get goal chances Sunday, there was another few opportunities there that if we had seen it, and look, I'd even say about Chris Oak's goal, while he took it very well, Mark Cronin was free right across the square, and on another day, if that shot had been blocked, it would have been an awful thing to have missed. The right move there was the pass across the square and not take away from the finish, but we want to be scoring a few more goals, fair enough. And Sean McDonald got through towards the end as well, but I think he made the right decision. He kind of went for a kind of, he was kind of hedging his bets. I'd say he went for the crossbar, he went over, but and I suppose in the circumstances it was probably the right thing to do. Look, I suppose down the line now we're going to have a nice problem with selection because Micheál Martin did fine in goals. Great to have two keepers there, two experienced keepers. His long kickouts have improved. The trajectory is definitely, they're not as loopy as they used to be. And look, he didn't get off any short ones, but as far as I know, he didn't anyway. But I don't know, was it the need we're pushing up very much on our kickouts, or that we weren't that he wasn't going from? But look, he's definitely, we've two good goalkeepers. I still think that maybe the short kick out is something I'd like to see. You could see there the second half Sunday when we were coming under pressure in midfield, like to be able to just dink one over in towards the sideline there is a huge plus there for the team. But so there's going to be tough selection calls there now. You've Brian Hurley, Brian O'Driscoll, and I'd say Sean Brady won't be long behind him. A nice headache to have, and it's going to be like, I don't know how we're going to pick the forward line, because who's going to make way there, because like Chris Oak, he got 1-4 Sunday, like he's an automatic straight away. And look, he had 7 shots from play, converted 5 of them. You couldn't ask for more than that, and he is a real poacher. Mark Cronin, 3 shots from 3, two pointers, like you can't ask for more than that, and he's a real crafty kind of a player as well. He makes very few mistakes. Dara Sheedy, 4 shots from 4. We've dealt with that. Sean McDonald, he 4 shots, 3 points from 4 shots, and his work rate in around the field was unreal. And you look, Brian O'Driscoll can play in the forwards as well, and I remember I mentioned before about pushing him into half forward, but are you losing a lot then in the kickouts with not having Paul Welch there? Hard to know. Look, it looks like it's going to be either Hurley or Sherlock inside in the corner. In fairness to Sherlock, he worked very hard Sunday off the ball. Like, I was really trying to see what he was doing off the ball, and he is giving it everything. It's not a lack of effort. Look, he's just probably, his mobility isn't where the rest of them are, but he was giving it everything. Shooting wise, I suppose he didn't have a great day shooting wise. He had 6 shots from play. He only converted 1 of them, and that was for a 2-pointer, and he had 2 from 4 from frees. But in fairness, his scoring return wouldn't be usually as bad as that, and that was a bit of an aberration. And another thing, I'd say he was probably feels that he needs to impress, and he forced a few shots there. There was one, especially in the second half, he hit with the outside of his boot, and there was probably a better option there at that stage. But look, just to finish up there now, we're kind of look, if we could get qualified coming into this last game, and like to be able to experiment, and actually we need to experiment at the back a bit as well, I think. Like, if Sean Brady would be a great addition to come back into that, to the full back line as an option there. He has pace. Probably the boys that are there are probably better defenders, but Brady is probably the fastest man we have. And as I said already about this last gasp defending, too much of it for my liking, and I think we could probably look at Sean Meehan at centre back and Tommy Welch back in the corner. I don't think you'd be losing too much at centre back with Sean Meehan out there. I actually think he'd be more comfortable out there, and I think Tommy Welch would add a bit more speed and footwork to the full back line. So that's that. Just looking at the 3 there's ourselves and Derry now and Meath. We're the three kind of main contenders. But, and we've Derry away, Kildare at home, and Tyrone away. Derry have us, Louth and Cavan, and Meath have Kildare away, Tyrone and Offaly. And I suppose if you look at that, what stands out there straight away is that Meath have Offaly in their last game. So that's a guaranteed 2 points for them. And it's just going to be a massive opportunity for them for their scoring difference. Like they'll, I can see like that, Meath, they will, 10 points probably is not going to work for us. Because if the three teams end up on 10 points, it's going head to head goes out the window, then it goes to scoring difference, and Derry are well ahead of us in scoring difference. I can't, even if we do beat them on Sunday, there won't be only a point or two in it. But, Meath are going to have that opportunity to go on a scoring spree against Offaly. And, so I think we need it's either we're going to get through either on head to head or just getting the points outright. And that's why, look, we Derry, and I don't want to be up to Tyrone the last day of the season looking for points. It's going to be very difficult because they're in kind of relegation trouble. They could be, like, if they're mid-table, it mightn't be too bad, but still, they'll be, Sam Maguire thing is going to come in for them as well, like, because the one to whatever ranking. So Derry, then they have Louth and Cavan in the last two games. Like, they're likely, if they beat us, they're going to end up on 12 points. And our max would be 12 points then, like, we'd have, but that'd be beating Kildare and Tyrone. And I could see Meath, like, they have, like, Meath, if they beat Kildare, like, and they beat Offaly, they're on 10 points then. They'd have Tyrone, is the only other one. That'd be our only thing is that if we did end up on 10 points with Meath and ourselves, and Derry were out ahead of us, then we would win the head-to-head on Meath. But if the three of us end up on 10 points together, we are in trouble. Look, to cut to the chase, we need 3 points from our next two games. So I'm going to leave it at that. No, there's no point in really saying any more because I'll just leave on that kind of a cautionary note. But look, we're going well. We can't complain. If we were offered this at the start of the season, we'd be grabbing it. And look, there's one thing there before I go. I just like to say this. And this is, look, if anyone from the county board is listening, I got talking to a few Meath people there at the match on Sunday at half time, and there was 2 women among them, and they were on about the toilet facilities inside in Pairc Ui Rinn, and they were really cross about it. They said that there was 4 cubicles inside the ladies' toilet, 3 of them were flooded, and that's not good enough. And I actually had that confirmed by others after, and I just said, look, lads, come on, it's just we can't have that to people to people coming into matches. My wife and my daughter were inside there, and they wouldn't normally go to matches, to football matches anyway, and we can't be having that. So look, if anyone from the county board is listening, or if anyone has the ear of the county board, a county board delegate, just pass that on. And so I'm going to leave it at that. And so until next week, God bless.